Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options in Play video update. We are through the heart of earnings season, but earnings season is far from over. Uh, what's interesting, and kind of more recently, as software names have really turned into more of like focus names for a lot of traders, is that earnings season kind of stretches out. So get a lot of like the tech heavyweights in one section, and then we get some retail, and then actually it's almost like a new later earnings season, just almost like exclusively for a lot of like momentum, high growth software stocks. So as we transition from one to the next, still a lot to look for on a day-to-day basis. We'll see how the movement goes. Kind of a mixed week, but definitely still some names here and there that are really seeing some pretty sizable moves. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. All right. For the open on Monday, as usual, really nothing of interest. After the close on Monday, it's really only one name, and even then, not sure I'm going to do anything with it. Take Two, they're priced in about 14.5 for their own results. And the reason why I might not do anything with it is because EA, not so good, Activision, much better. So, not really sure how to lean on Take Two, especially today. Got a pretty big pop off the Activision results. Maybe lean bullish if I had to go one way. But high option pricing, got a bump off the Activision numbers. I might just sit this one out, see after it reports, see where it is once dust settles on all three, and then maybe focus on like the leader of the three at the end of like the week. Before the open on Tuesday, Canopy Growth, so about 5.5 points is what's priced in here. First cannabis report in a few weeks. Obviously, this stock and a lot of the names in the sector have had monster runs over the past 2 weeks, so it's going to be an important report for just momentum to continue in this sector. I guess I've been less interested in trading this one, but I might look at other names like Tilray, Afria, ACB, maybe as like sympathy plays on the CGC number. IIVI. So about 10 points is what's priced in, but those are monthly options. There's been some really great action in fiber optic, the laser names. You had that old Lumentum coherent deal, right? So that kind of keeps interest in the sector. IIVI had a big report back in November. Stock has acted fantastic since then. It does seem set up for higher prices, but it also kind of in like that trending stock category. So something maybe like calendar spread wise or option flies like bull flies might be the way to approach this. Just because I'm not sure you're going to get a huge move after the stock has had such like a large run and a steady trend. After the close on Tuesday, Akamai, so about 6.5 points is what's priced in here. There's two bigger CDN slash edge networking companies reporting next week, so it's this and Cloudflare, NET. So that means that Fastly, FSLY, might be in play too. Akamai, it tends to react weak on earnings, so um, I feel like it's a little bit tougher because the setup looks a little bit more bullish, but it tends to respond weaker on earnings, so kind of less consistent. I think if I was going to focus on any of those three, I'd probably look at either NET or Fastly over Akamai. Um, AYX, so about 17 points is what's priced in here. Those are monthly options. It's had a couple huge gaps on earnings recently. Interesting pattern because you can see it's poking above resistance, has a gap above, plenty of room to the downside. Um, Seems to have 15 points to me, like either direction, but it's pricing in 17. So obviously, would have to get risk down if I was going to do anything with this one. If I can, find some sort of strategy where the premium or the net debit makes sense, then maybe look at a volatility strategy. But again, I mean, I really have to get the overall risk down this one because the pricing's a little bit higher. Cisco, big name on Tuesday after the close. About 270 is what's priced in here. It just closed the gap from August earnings, which you can see right here. And actually, if I scroll out a little bit further, you can see it's kind of at the top of like a yearly downtrend. So kind of interesting, especially last quarter, coming off a solid beat and raise. Stock is acted well, and leaning around the top of like trend resistance. So it seems like if they can deliver, you might get like a nice pent up breakout through the trend resistance. So might look at something speculative bullish on that one. Lyft, another kind of interesting technical setup too. So it's priced in 5 points, give or take. Actually, both this and Uber report next week. Lyft chart to me seems a little bit more interesting of the two, just because it's sitting right above this big 50 level, which has been like year and a half resistance. Um, I guess I can't decide if earnings are going to be a huge catalyst, but a major break of 50 could be big, like 60s or low 60s big. But I think that's probably going to take longer to develop. So if I were to do anything, it might be like longer dated spreads, just not focusing on like the immediate near term, because I think like the bigger move would probably take a little bit longer to really get going. Um, Twitter. So about 7 points is what's expected on this. So Pins was up. Pins was up on earnings. Snap was down initially, then up on earnings. So both Pins and Snap are up. Twitter trading higher now on like the back of that. Stock is at a 52-week high. It does seem like most feel like the election or that political ad turmoil is kind of taking a toll on Twitter. So I do think that there might be more downside risk with this one. Especially after the run it's had, stock right at the 52-week high. Plus last quarter got a hit on earnings as well. I think there could be some upside, but I think like the risk to reward is more skewed to the downside. So maybe a bearish trade on this one, but I guess I'm really on the fence with it. Okay, Wednesday before the open, GM. So about 3.5 points is what's priced in here. Ford crushed numbers, and these two have been kind of closely moving together. GM stock, I mean, it looks great. Seems set up for higher prices, but maybe a higher bar now after Ford's numbers. So I think anything that I would look at with GM would probably be longer term. Just it's not typically a huge mover, and the bar might be higher, so it might take a little bit longer to get going. Also, Wednesday before the open, Under Armour. About 2.5 points is what's priced in on this. Interesting, kind of under the radar retail name, really been acting great. It's back above 20 again, which it's taken just about a year to do. It's kind of in the right place with a lot of like the athletic apparel retail names really doing well. Under Armour itself is coming off a solid beat and raise quarter. Another strong print, maybe keeps momentum going. We've ridden this one for a swing trade for a while, and I think I might just continue to view it that way. I think earnings definitely a catalyst, but I think swing trade is probably how I'll continue to approach it. Wednesday after the close, iRobot. So about 18 points was priced in here, and I guess I feel like option pricing is probably going to be too high now because the stock was absolutely parabolic on off of like the whole like short squeeze that was going on 2 weeks ago. It is historically a volatile stock around earnings, and short interest is still really high. Um, but I guess the problem is that the options are priced extremely high now because of what happened 2 weeks ago. So it almost seems like it's kind of like a tougher trade. So I might just I might just watch this one. Redfin. So about 9.5 points was priced in here. Those are monthly options though. Rockstar in December. It's digested the gains well, right? It does seem like it could pop again if numbers are good, but also expectations are a lot higher than they were last quarter. So I feel like it's gonna have to be really good, but if it is and it breaks out, I mean, it could be set for like another leg up after like a month and a half of digesting gains. Sonos. About 425 is what's priced in on these options. Those are monthly though. Crushed it last quarter. Stock gapped up huge. It's continued to work higher. Option pricing, it doesn't seem that crazy. I mean, it moved more than that last quarter. It's the holiday quarter too. It does seem more of a bullish setup, but after the run it's had, especially just over the past week, expectations are higher, and a slip up could really get hit pretty hard. So maybe like a volatility strategy candidate, maybe like more skewed to the bull side though. Uber. So, like I said, Lyft reports earlier in the week. Uber on Wednesday after the close. They're pricing about 5 points. I'll see how Lyft goes and then see what Uber's pricing in, see where the stock's trading. But it's definitely going to be more of a game time decision for me. Zillow. So about 17.5 points is what they're expecting here. Just absolutely crushed it 2 quarters in a row. Stock is acting great. Expect solid numbers again, but I think whether or not there's an earnings trade is really going to depend on how much the stock runs ahead of time. Before they open on Thursday, just one name, Yeti. So 7 points is what's expected here. Kind of a low-key retail play, but it does typically move on earnings. And option pricing, it seems kind of modest when considering it's the holiday quarter. I don't know. It seems kind of set up well for a volatility strategy, in my opinion. After the close on Thursday, so Cloudflare. So this was the other CDN, like edge networking name I mentioned earlier. About 8.5 points is what they're expecting. Um, Definitely one of the best software names right now. Crushed it last quarter. It's been very steady since. Seems like a solid pattern, and it definitely seems like it could be due for another leg up. Datadog. So about 11.5 is what's expected here. It's dropped 2 quarters in a row after beating and raising. And stock just off its 52-week high. Option pricing in a pretty good sized move. Uh, if you follow recent history, you would think lower, but maybe this is the quarter where it breaks the pattern and pops. I will say though that I mean the last couple quarters when it's dropped, the moves have been pretty substantial. So it could be one that moves, but recent history has kind of indicated like lower, just based off of beating and raising and dropping 2 quarters in a row. Frog. So about 8 points is what's priced in on this. Those are monthly options. New IPO, falling off the high, kind of in a consolidation just above its like low. Um, it seems like it could be a big mover. I I don't know which direction I would lean, so maybe just a volatility strategy. Because like the pricing doesn't seem too outrageous either, just based off the fact it hasn't really done a whole lot. So might be one I look at later in the week. Disney. So big name, late in the week, pricing in 10 points. It's been a very impressive few months for Disney. Great Disney Plus numbers, fueling the run, and if their underlying business improves, it could be a really nice combo. Um, I guess I have a hard time figuring out if it's an earnings play or if it's like a swing play, because it does seem like there's a path to 200 if they can deliver again. But at the same time, if I can get options cheaper after earnings, after the premiums come in post earnings, I feel like I feel maybe a little bit more comfortable with it. So yeah, I'm on the fence. I might sit it out just so I can focus on a swing trade after. But if those premiums do come down a bit, maybe it's something. Maybe it's something I'll look at for like an earnings play. All right, and then wrapping things up on Friday is Protolab. So just one name, about 30 or so points. Spreads are kind of wide, not a lot of volume on these options. Those are monthly too. It's definitely been a beneficiary of the 3D movement, like 3D printing, um, and it's had a great run over the past 2 months. It was one of those more shorter names that really surged a couple weeks ago too. It's priced for a very, very, very big move. And Actually, I might look at like 3D systems, 3D, triple D, or SSYS as a possible sympathy play on this. Like so, like Friday, look at some like low debit options just into like this number to wrap up the week. All right. So you can take a lot of names. I mean, there's definitely more that I didn't even cover. So I think it's going to be a pretty busy week. So looking forward and optimistic that it's going to be some good action. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on trading earnings with options or more information on like straddles and strangles with options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay well, and I will talk to you guys on Monday.